Hey class, today we are learning about equivalent fractions. I want you to use your follow along sheet for equivalent fractions to help guide you as we rocket through this lesson. Objectives today are that you will gain a greater knowledge for understanding equivalent fractions. You will be able to recognize fractions that are equivalent to each other 80% of the time by answering 8 out of 10 questions correctly. And you'll be able to apply the concept that equivalent fractions have the same area and are the same distance. The central question I want you to think about today as we go through this lesson is, why is it important for us to know about equivalent fractions? How is this going to help us in math or in our everyday lives? Okay. We're going to start out by watching this short video. I'm going to share my screen with you about equivalent fractions, so pay close attention as we watch this short video.
If there were 4 socks to wear, then we would say there'd be 2 in each pair. And one of the 2 pairs we can declare equals 2/4 of all the socks there. Drawing 1/2 into 4ths on a number line shows they can be described with an equal sign. An equal value is what they're worth, so we say 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4.
Equivalent fractions is the name for fractions whose values are the same.
Once upon a time, there were 9 canaries on telephone wires sitting down in 3s. Each wire contained 1/3 of the bird, so 3 nines is equivalent to 1/3. Drawing 1/3 and 3 nines on a number line shows 1/3 equals 3 parts out of 9. Therefore, equivalent is the word that describes 3 nines and 1/3.
Equivalent fractions is the name for fractions whose values are the same.
If the numerator and denominator share a common factor, then you can divide the top and bottom by the same number, on top and under, and say with satisfaction we found an equivalent fraction. And you can multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, on top and under, which is really a fraction whose value equals 1. And through this action we find an equivalent fraction.
Equivalent fractions is the name for fractions whose values are the same.
The values all the same.
Equivalent fractions is the name for fractions whose values are the same.
The values all the same.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video on equivalent fractions. We're going to look at the board, and you notice these 2 lines on your follow along sheet. I'm going to help us fill those blanks in as we discuss fractions. If you remember, fractions have 2 parts. Our numerator is on top, and this tells us, the numerator tells us how many parts we have of our whole. So this tells us how many parts of the whole that we have, that the fraction is representing. Then our second part of the fraction is our denominator, which goes on the bottom. And this tells us the number in the whole. So the total number that is contained in our whole. So let's say our pizza had 6 slices, and our fraction has shown us that we are eating 3 of the 6 slices. So your 3 would go up here, but your whole pizza has 6 slices, so it would go down here. So this is just a refresher to remember our parts of our fraction from our previous lessons. Now let's talk about what equivalent means. So equivalent, what do you think about when you hear equivalent in your brains? What comes to your mind when you hear that word? Equivalent means equal. Equal in value. Equal in value, equal in parts. It means something is equal. So if equivalent means equal, then equivalent fractions would mean that the fractions are equal. Fractions are equal and contain the same amount of parts, containing the same amount of the whole. So they would contain the same amount of the whole. Okay, so they're going to be equal. And that's when we're going to use that equal sign. So let's look at these two fractions with our circle to see if they're equivalent. So we have, our first circle is red. And our second circle is orange. So this is going to represent a pizza. So imagine these are pizzas, okay? The first one's shaded on this side, and that would be, you have two parts, so that would be 1/2, right? So 1/2 is this fraction for this pizza. And then this pizza is shaded on this side. How many pieces are shaded on this side? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. But how many pieces do we have in all? So we know 4 is our numerator. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pieces in all, so that's going to be our whole, which is our denominator. So we have 1/2 and 4/8. Are these two fractions equal? Are both equal parts, so they're both equal in parts, so they're the same size, and are both parts equal that are shaded? They are. So both are half of the pizza. Half of the pizza is gone. So these are equal. 1/2 and 4/8 are equivalent fractions. Okay. Now we're going to look at some rectangles. Okay. So the same parts of the whole are shaded in. So these are equivalent. So now let's look at our next example. Okay. Okay, now we have two rectangles. So we have the first one is green. Let me see that. Okay. The second one is purple. And you have to, my drawing's not completely accurate, but it's close. So I want you to check the box, yes or no, on your sheet, if you think the rectangles have the same amount shaded in each rectangle, and they're the same size. Okay. So the first one is divided into 4, and 2 of the 4 pieces are shaded in, so that's 2/4. And then the second rectangle is broken down into 12 pieces, and 6 of the pieces of the 12 are shaded in. So we have 2/4 and 6/12. So they're both, looks like they're equally shaded. So we can say that 2/4 is equal to 6/12. So they are equivalent fractions as well. And if you wanted to reduce to find out as well, you can. So 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then 6/12. 3 goes into 6 2 times, and then your 12 would be 4 times, and then you can break it down again, and that would give you your 1/2. So that also shows you that they're equivalent if they reduce to the same fraction. All right, now let's go to our next example. So, number lines are very helpful in helping us to determine if fractions are equivalent as well. So a number line shows us the length of the fractions, and you can determine if they're equivalent by comparing the lengths of the fractions on your number line. So let's look at one of these examples as we are continuing our lesson. The first number line, and I want you to draw on your paper like I draw on the board. So So you can have a model as well. So the first number line we're going to divide into 4 sections. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Oh, not even. 1, 2. Yeah, that's good. Right, and then the second one is going to be the same length, but you're going to divide it into 12s. Alright. So, which line is the same length as this one? This one is the one we're looking at. This is 3/4. And we want to find the spot on the second number line that is equal. So the fraction that's equal to 3/4. And that's the same length, the same distance. So this is our distance. We want to find the same distance down here that equals that one. Okay? So if you wrote 9/12 on your paper, you are correct. 9/12 is equal to 3/4 because it's the same length on the number line. See, so they're equivalent based off our number line. And that helps you see the length and the fractions and if they're equivalent, if they line up. Okay? So 3/4 and 9/12 are equivalent fractions. Okay? Now we are going to do a Kahoot to practice more with our equivalent fractions. So if you get your iPads ready, we are going to show our Kahoot. Okay, ready? Here we go. Are the two fractions below equivalent? Okay, we have 4/12 and 1/3. Yeah, these are equivalent. Which one is not equivalent to the other 3? Those 2/4. It's okay if you get them wrong. We're just practicing to help expand our knowledge of equivalent fractions. How do you feel about equivalent fractions? Are you confident, not confident, or in between? 1/9. Which of the following fractions is equivalent to 1/9? Okay. One more. Are you willing to share your pizza with your friends by using fractions? Would you share your pizza with your friends when using fractions? Yes or no? All right. So I hope you enjoyed this Kahoot and enjoyed learning about equivalent fractions. I want you now to take time to define equivalent fractions in your own words. And then I want you to give me one example of equivalent fraction that you have thought of tonight. And then I want you to put any questions you may have about equivalent fractions that we can answer in class tomorrow. We will do many more activities with equivalent fractions to help us better understand in class. And they'll be hands-on and very exciting. So I hope you enjoy and look forward to tomorrow doing activities with equivalent fractions. Thank you for learning this lesson with me on equivalent fractions.